We are live now. We can start.
Can I start?
Yes, yes. Proceed ahead.
Okay. Hello, good evening, and a warm welcome to you all who presented here uh, and watching this video, watching this live also. Before I going to start the webinar, I would like to thank each and everyone who presented here and give their valuable times with us. Mm, Here I am the host for today's webinar, myself Anindita Vuya, and I am a student of Guwahati University pursuing my master's in Women's Studies, bringing you all another webinar session with an art and craft with energy. Before I begin, here's a brief about us, about, about energy to our new audience who are with us in this beautiful evening today. Anajari. Anajari means the bond of love. It signifies unconditional love, and it is this bond of unconditional love for his native land that brought back Milin Datta, the founder of Anajari, from the USA to start a non-profit organization in 2018 which engages and promotes various initiatives and that are striving for social change, leadership skill, and building entrepreneurship capabilities in the Northeast, including Assam. For the past few months, we have been engaging with speakers from various fields via virtual media to create a network among the people working in the rain. Now, I would like to start the webinar. So today we are here together with one of our special guests, Mr. Sauradeep Nath sir. He had currently pursuing his PhD in history from Assam University, Silchar, Assam. His area of interest and expertise is in Ahom weapons. He is an excellent blogger at Medium, also currently writing on a book. So I welcome Sauradeep Nath sir on behalf of Team Anajari. Uh, so I welcome you, sir.
Thank you. I guess I'm audible to all of you.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And can my screen, is my screen sharing on?
Yes.
You can see the screen, right? Ahom weapons
Yes.
type and description.
Yes.
Okay, so it's good to go, right?
Yes. Okay. Now you start your speech.
Okay. Thank you, Anandita. And I also like to thank the Anajali team for providing me with this opportunity to deliver this lecture on Ahom weapons type and description. Uh, As Anandita has mentioned that I expertise in weapons and particularly in my PhD studies, I have done research in Ahu weapons itself. Right? I'm absolutely sorry that you cannot see my face. Something has gone wrong with my laptop, but
It's
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 yeah,
okay, sir. It's okay.
yes. But I'm fortunate enough that somehow the screen has been shared, right? So
Yes.
as long as the PPT, as long as you can see the PPT, I guess you will be able to understand everything that I'm going to say, right?
Yes.
Okay. So once again, thank you, Anajori. And I'd also like to thank Roshni Ba for providing me with this very opportunity, right? So in any ways, today let us talk about Ahom weapons. And we will basically talk about the various types of Ahom weapons that were being used in a period between 13th century to 20th century CE. Right? Okay. Slide. Just give me a moment. Okay. So first of all, let us talk about the Ahoms. I'm audible, right, to all of you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So first of all, let us talk about the Ahoms and let us know who the Ahoms were. And after that, we will see the various types of weapon that they were using. So basically, the Ahoms belong to a Thai ethnic group. So what do we mean when we say Thai? So Thai people dwell primarily in southern China, and apart from southern China, they were living in various other parts of Southeast Asia as well. In the 13th century, a Thai group under the leadership of Sukafa migrated from a place called Mangmao, and from there he migrated to the Brahmaputra Valley. Arriving at the Brahmaputra Valley along with 3,000 of his followers, along with 9,000 of his followers, he established a kingdom which we popularly know as the Ahom kingdom itself. So it occurred in 1228 CE, and from 1228 CE onwards, the Ahom monarchy established themselves primarily first in the present-day Sibsagar area, and from there they slowly and steadily subjugated various ethnic groups and kingdoms, and then they carved out a mighty kingdom that comprises almost the entire Brahmaputra Valley, the Dhansiri River Valley, and also parts of Central Assam. Right? So the Thai ethnic group is known by various names. Right? So, for example, in Thailand, they are known as Thai. In China, they are known as Dai, or sometimes they are also called as Pai. In Laos, the Thai ethnic group is known as Lao. In Burma, which is presently Myanmar, they are known as Shan. And then in Assam, they are known as Ahoms, right? So in various places, they are known by various regional names, but they have a very common culture, right? So this is how the Ahoms came into being, and this is how they are sporadically distributed in an area comprising northeastern region of India, as well as Southeast Asia and southern China. Now, in between uh, in between 13th century to 20th century CE, the Ahoms were ruling a substantial part of Assam, right? And in between this very period, they were using various types of weapons. And these types of weapon can be grouped into three particular types. So first, you will have your ranged weapons, right? Second, you will have your melee weapon. Melee weapon would include such as swords. There will be various types of da or chopper, and then there were spears as well, right? And third, they were also using defensive weapons. Defensive weapons were also multiple types. For example, they were using shield. They were also using a head cap. They were also using a jacket, right? Now, let's talk about a ranged weapon. So when I say ranged weapon, what do we mean by that? We mean a weapon which is used for long range assault. So for example, if I am standing close to you, then I won't be using ranged weapon as a weapon of choice. Rather than that, I'm going to use melee weapon for close combat. Range weapon is only used for long range assault. So you want to hurt someone who is about a kilometer or so, at a distance of 1 kilometer or so, then you will be using range weapon. So it is primarily used for long range assault. That is the function of range weapon. And based upon your propulsion technique, right? Based on propulsion technique, range weapon can be divided into two particular categories. So first is your explosive propulsion, and the second will be your elastic propulsion. So in terms of explosive propulsion, you will have your cannons, and you will have your heavy artillery, that is cannon, and then you will have your light artillery or hiloi, right? So the Ahoms were using both heavy and light artillery. I will, as the lecture goes on, I will thoroughly show you what the heavy and light artillery are. Now, as you know, this explosive propulsion technology, and then there was the elastic propulsion technology. With the help of this elastic propulsion technology, the Ahoms were using weapons such as bows and arrows, right? Can you follow me until now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now let us talk about range weapon, and particularly let us talk about the explosive propulsion technique. With the help of explosive propulsion technique, the Ahoms were using Bortop and Hilois. So let us look at some of the samples of the Bortop that we find throughout Assam itself. So here, if you see at the picture, if you look at the slide, then you can see two photographs. The two photographs are from Tolatalgarh in Sibsagar, one, and both of them are Borto. But if you look at the size and the design of it, then each of these vary from each other, right? So there are your Nag Borto, then there is your Hati Muria Borto, and at last you will also have Hati Khujia Borto. So there are in total 5 Borto. During my survey, I found that at Talatalgarh there are 5 Bortos which are being displayed there. Similarly, you can also find many other Bortos which have been preserved and displayed in various museums across Assam. So in this particular slide, you can see that there is a Bortop. There are 2 Bortops which are being preserved and displayed at District Museum in Jorhat. Of course, the Bortops are rusty because they are very old, and the preservation has to be continued as well, right? But these 2 Bortops are being preserved there at District Museum Jorhat. Next, you can also see 3 Bortops. So one which is in your left is from District Museum Dibrugarh. And then there are 2 other Bortops which have been preserved in District Museum in Mongoldoy. Then in the premise of District Museum Tezpur, you can see 7 Bortops. The sideway view of the Bortop you can see in the left hand side of the slide, and the frontal view of the cannons or the Bortop you can see at the right hand side. There are also some Bortops which have been preserved at Assam State Museum in Guwahati. So you have 2 such Bortops. The pictures you can see in the slide. Both of them are preserved and displayed at Assam State Museum in Guwahati. These particular Bortops also have inscriptions in it. Unfortunately, since I'm not an epigraphist, I am not been able to decipher the script. However, it has been written and it has been told by the authorities that the cannons belong to the time of Gadadhar Singha itself, Ahom monarch Gadadhar Singha. Few more Bortops can also be seen at Assam State Museum in Guwahati. The size and shape, as you can see, the size and shape of Bortop varies from one to another. Some Bortops are really very huge and range from, they're basically way more huge. And some of the Bortops are a bit smaller in size, but still they are being categorized as Bortop itself. And some of them are also being decorated. In one particular Bortop that I saw at Talatalgarh in Sibsagar, according to oral tradition, gold and silver were also been encrusted on those very tops. However, during the colonial period, the British authorities, as far as the locals, the British authorities took those very precious items and jewelry that were there in this board top itself. So they took those out, and then they took away those riches. Some of the Bortops were also been decorated with human-like figures. So at the muzzle of the cannon, you can see at the muzzle some human-like features with prudent nose and sharp eyes. You can also see at the muzzle of it. Three large Bortops are also been seen at some state museum in Guwahati. These are huge cannons. So sideway view and the topmost view can be seen in this particular slide. So can you follow me until now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So far we have talked about the Ahoms, and we have also talked about uh, the range weapon. And in terms of range weapon, we have talked about the explosive propulsion technique and the elastic propulsion technique. In explosive propulsion technique, we have seen that the Ahoms were using heavy artillery. So far, we have seen that, right? Now we are going to see the light artillery or Hiloi that was being used by the Ahoms. So you have your Borto, the heavy artillery or the cannons. Now let us look at the Hiloi or light artillery, right? So literature suggests that there were in particularly 11 types of Hiloi that the Ahoms were using, and the names of such Hilois are, for example, Jambur, Jathia, Horu Hatnalia, Ramsongi, Kamian, then Do, Bachadari, etc. So there's so many 11 types of Hilois are being found in the literatures. However, during my survey, we cannot identify which particular Hiloi is being referred as Horu Hatnalia or which particular Hiloi is being identified as Ramsongi. Right? So basically what I have done is I've just provided the pictures of it and then categorize it as Hiloi. The rest of the thing we will leave with the experts. Right? So we have two particular Hilois which have been preserved and displayed at Jorhat District Museum. So you can see the pictures of it. One of the Hiloi has been recently found, I think back in the month of October. So back in the month of October, a Hiloi was found in a pukuri, in a pond, and it was been retrieved by Avantika ma'am of District Museum Jorhat. So we went there and we have seen that this very particular Hiloi, it has inscriptions, and the inscription belonged to Gadadhar Singha himself. So the Hilois can also be found at Assam State Museum in Guwahati. One particular Hiloi is been decorated. I mean, the muzzle of it, you can see, if you can zoom in, then you can see that the muzzle of this particular Hiloi at the left-hand side, there is a human-like face been incurved in it. It's a very beautiful cannon. Sorry, very beautiful Hiloi. And the other one is also from Assam State Museum in Guwahati. Three such small Hilois can also be found in the District Museum Mongoldoi. These are very small Hilois. And one such Hiloi is also been found in District Museum Dibrugarh. You can see the pictures. Okay, now if you visit Sibsagar, then I must say that one should go to Ahomtai Museum. The Ahomtai Museum is a very beautiful place where heritage of Ahoms has been preserved in its utmost full manner. So you should visit Ahomtai Museum. So at Ahom, if you visit Ahomtai Museum, then you are also going to see the cannons. You can also see Hiloi, and you can also see edge weapons which are being used by the Ahoms during that time. So speaking of the Hiloi particularly, Ahomtai Museum has 4 particular Hilois. And here you can see the pictures of it in this particular slide. So there are 3 Hilois at the left hand side, and then there is 1 Hiloi at the right hand side of the slide as well. Now, we have talked about cannons, right? We have talked about cannons, that is heavy artillery or Borto. We have also talked about Hiloi or the light artillery, right? But cannonballs also need to be discussed, right? You have, say for example, you have a Dhenu, but if you do not have an arrow, then it has got no utility. Similarly, if you have your cannons, but if you do not have your cannonball, then the cannon have no utility at all. So cannonballs are, the Ahoms use cannonballs with varied shapes and sizes. Some of them are being, some of these cannonballs are being distributed in various museums across the length and breadth of Assam. So some of the cannonballs can be seen at Assam State Museum in Guwahati. Other cannons can also be found in District Museum in Jorhat. The specimens of those cannonballs can be seen in this particular slide. Can you follow me until now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have talked about range weapon, right? we have talked about range weapon, and I have mentioned that range weapon can be divided into two based on propulsion technique. So we have so far talked about explosive propulsion technique, and we have seen various specimens of heavy artillery, Ahom heavy artillery and Ahom light artillery. Now let us talk about elastic propulsion. So range weapon, explosive propulsion, then you have your elastic propulsion. Let us talk about now the elastic propulsion. Elastic propulsion technique utilizes bow and arrow. So Ahoms were using various types of bow and arrow. And how do we know it? We know it from the literatures. In fact, if you go to the literatures, then it suggests that the Ahoms were using 4 particular types of bow and arrow, such as Karfai Dhenu, Bor Dhenu, Shutia Dhenu, and Miri Dhenu. These were the 4 types of Dhenu that the Ahoms were using during that time. Unfortunately, during my survey, I was not able to get a hand on any of those bow and arrow. Why? Because bow and arrow are being made out of perishable material, and hence, even if they were using these particular types of weapon, these particular types of bow and arrow, it is impossible for me to get a hand on it. Think about it. What is the material that has been used to make a bow? Either bamboo or wood, right? And bamboo and wood, as you can tell, has got its longevity, its validity, and which is very, very few years. And hence, we cannot find any of those aforementioned bow and arrow. However, if I went to the Facebook page called Ahom Thai Culture and Heritage, and there I was able to find a picture of Ahom bow and arrow. How far this very picture justifies to the actual bow and arrow that were being used by the Ahoms, I have no idea. We need to dig more into it. In any ways, this is one such bow and arrow, which the Facebook page claims that it was used by the Ahoms. So you can see at the picture. So we have talked about the bow, but the Ahoms were also using various types of arrow, right? So arrows were particularly of 6 types according to the literature, and the names of it would be such as Shingi Muri, then Khaja, Topa, Loha Yukta, Big Yukta, and Falen Batia. So these are the 6 types of arrows that were being typically used by the Ahoms. So I guess you can understand so far.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We have talked about the Ahom ranged weapons, right? But we also have to talk about other types of weapons. So as I mentioned before, that Ahoms were using 3 particular types of weapon, right? So there was your range weapon. Then there is your melee weapon, and at last there is your defensive weapon. So we have completed a segment of weapons that the Ahoms were using, which is range weapon used for long range assault. In terms of long range assault, they were using range weapons such as heavy artillery and light artillery, your Borkop and Hiloi, and then they were also using your bow and arrow. Now let us look at another aspect of our weapon, which is melee weapon. All right. Now, what do we mean when we say melee weapon? Melee weapon is typically used for close range assault. It is completely different from your range weapon. Range weapon is used for long range assault. Melee weapon is used for close range assault. So it means that if you are near me, I mean very, very near me, then I would be utilizing melee weapon itself. Okay. So in terms of melee weapon, it can also be subdivided into 3 particular types. So you will typically have your swords, you will also have your da or chopper, and then you will have your spears, right? So first of all, let us talk about Ahom swords. So when we talk about Ahom sword, the first thing that enters into anyone's mind is hangdang. I mean, it would be touche to say that everybody knows hangdang, right? If you are an Assamese like me and you and everyone, we all know about hangdang. However, what does the hangdang look like? How does the hangdang look like? We need to answer this very question as well. And this was one of the primary questions that I was searching for when I did my when I was doing my early days of my PhD. So if you visit Assam State Museum in Guwahati, then you are going to find 2 particular specimens of hangdang, right? And if you can see the slide, one hangdang is there without the scabbard, Scabbard meaning in Hindi we can call it machan, right? So one without the scabbard and the other with the scabbard itself. So the pictures can be seen, right? So let us talk very briefly about hangdang. So a hangdang, the hangdang was the most prestigious of the Ahom sword. And why it was the most prestigious? Because it was not used by the common pike soldiers. No, it was used by Ahom royalty as well as generals, right? If we go through the Buranjis meaning the Ahom chronicles, then we see that when Lasit Borfukon, everybody knows Lasit, right? So Lasit Borfukon, when he was being declared as the Borfukon, he was given a gold encrusted hangda by the monarch himself. Gold encrusted hangda, that is Sonia hangda. And Sonia hangda was presented to him, and he was given the charge as the Borfukon to fight against the Mughal invasion. Right? And then it was also being used by the Ahom royalty. So the generals and the royalty had the monopoly over using hangdan. It was not utilized by the common soldiers, who were also known as the pike. Okay, another aspect of hangdang is it was used not just for martial purposes. I mean, it was also used for ceremonial purposes as well. So it was used by the Ahom generals and the commanders in war, right? So that was its martial utility. But apart from that, it was also used in ceremonies such as Ahom marriage. So the Ahoms have their Chaklang marriage, right? So in Chaklang marriage, they use this particular hangdang. So the bride would present a hangdang to the groom and tell him the duties or the responsibilities associated with wielding it. Right? So this was the martial as well as the ceremonial purpose of hangdang itself. Can you follow me until now?
Yes, sir.
And I'm audible, I suppose?
Yes, sir.
Well, it's very unfortunate that my camera is not working, but I suppose you can get with the lecture.
Yes, it's okay, sir. It's okay.
Okay, I'm extremely apologies. I mean,
It's okay, sir.
okay. Okay, so we have talked about hangdang. Let us see now other types of Ahom weapon, other types of Ahom swords that the common soldiers were using, right? So these are the two particular specimens that have been seen at Jorhat, and another one is from Ahom Time Museum in Sibsagar. Okay, here is an interesting fact. According to oral tradition, we have come to know that sword hilt which has a knuckle guard, I mean, to protect the fingers and to protect the hand. If there is a knuckle guard in the sword, then it meant that it was used by certain commanders, or at least not the pike soldier. It was used by commanders or generals, or maybe someone below them, but not associated with the pike soldiers. Right? So these particular specimens that you can see has knuckle guards in it, right? So it means that these particular swords were being used by at least someone of higher rank, maybe Hoikea, maybe Hazarika, or maybe someone above them as well. Rajkhoas, they can also use this particular sword, right? But the pike soldiers, they were using swords. I will show you the specimens. Just this one. In this particular slide, you can see that there are two swords. Both of them are preserved and displayed in some state museum, Ahom Time Museum in Sibsagar. And these particular swords have no knuckle guards in it, right? And no knuckle guards meaning that it was used by the pike soldiers themselves. That is a common foot soldiers. It was not used by Ahom commanders or generals, Hazarikas or Hoikias or Boras and other. It was used by the common soldiers. These particular specimens are also from Ahom Time Museum in Sibsagar. Okay, we have seen certain specimens of Ahom swords, right? Now let us look at another specimen of melee weapon, which is the. Okay, literature suggests, if you go to the literature such as of Gogoi 2017, of Gogoi 2006, of Vaishya 2009, and of Barpujari 1994, And also, if we go to the work of S.K. Bhuya, that is the Burunjis, then we see that, then we find that the Ahoms were using at least 10 types of da or chopper, right? And the names of which are Nakoida, Shikarada, Boligotada, Mitda, Kopida, Mechida, Kharida, Norada, Dighotda, and Khangrada. So these are the 10 types of das which are being mentioned in the literatures. However, during my survey, I was only able to find 3 particular types of da, which are Nakoida, Shikarada, and Boligodada. And these 3 types of da are being preserved and displayed across the museums of Assam. Let's look at one particular section, that is Nakoida. This is how a Nakoida looks like. I recently presented a paper at IIT Guwahati about this particular type of weapon, that is Nakoida. So these are the 2 specimens of Nakoida which are being preserved and displayed at Ahamtai Museum in Sibsagar. It's a very unique, these 2 specimens are also from Ahamtai Museum in Sibsagar. Okay, so you've seen Nakoida, right? Now let us talk about Shikarada. Okay, before speaking about Shikarada, let me very briefly just say something about Nakoida. Well, Nakoida is a weapon not primarily made by the Ahoms themselves. Rather than that, it was acquired as tribute from the Dimasa kingdom itself. So the Ahoms were Dimasas, were the contemporary kingdom, right? And fight between the two was inevitable. So there was armed conflict right from the time of Sutyufa. So when Sutyufa, the Ahom monarch, was there, from his time onward, there was armed conflict between the two. And subsequently, during the time of Suhummu, that is in the 16th century, early 16th century, the Dimasas lost the battle, and they had to leave Dimapur, and then they shifted to Maibang, right? So when they left Dimapur, which is the Dimasa capital, the Ahoms made sure that the Dimasas pay tributes to them. And the Dimasas from that time onward began to pay tribute. And the tributary article included weapons such as Nakoida, then there was iron, and there was also many other articles. So it went, this particular Nakoida were being given by the Dimasas to the Ahom after the defeat in the 16th century. So it was a tributary weapon. Later on, if you go to the thesis of Khagen Gogoi in 2017, then we come to know that the tributary weapons were also being used by the Ahoms in later period, and hence it is also included as Ahom weapon. Can you follow me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let us talk about Shikarada now. Just like Nakoida, Shikarada is also being acquired as tribute from the Miris. Right? Miris are also known as Mishings. So the Miri ethnic group, the Ahoms were also fighting against the Miris. If you go to the Ahom Buranjis, then we see that there were multiple armed encounter between the two. And as there were multiple armed encounter, at a certain point, the Miris lost the conflict, and as such, they were required to pay tribute in numerous articles, right? And among those articles, there used to be Shikarada. So this particular specimen of Shikarada is found at District Museum in Mongoldoi. Okay, we have talked about Nakoida. We have also talked about Shikarada. Now let us look at another type of chopper that Ahoms were using, and it is known as Boligodada. Now remember, Boligodada is a weapon that was used not to inflict bodily harm to human. No, it was not used for martial purposes. It was rather used for ceremonial purposes in during sacrifices. So this particular type of Boligodada is been found at Ahomtai Museum in Sibsagar. Other Boligodadas can also be seen at Tezpur, District Museum Tezpur, and another one is at Srimanta Shankardev Kalakshetra in Guwahati. From this, we can deduce a fact that the Ahoms were also practicing sacrifice during their worship of deities. So we won't be touching that very aspect. because it is going to take a lot more time if I go into the utility of polymer data. Okay. So the third type of melee weapon. So regarding melee weapon, we have so far talked about the swords. We have also talked about da or chopper. And now let us look at the spears. Again, if we go to the literatures, then the literature suggests that the Ahoms were using at least 7 types of spear. So there was Jathi, there was Borsha, there was Kapor, there was Zel, Zul, Duta, Baru, and Pasha. So these are the 7 types of spears that were being utilized by the Ahoms, of course, according to the literatures. But during my survey, again, I was only being able to get my hands on 3 particular types of Ahom spear. So I was able to get familiarized with Jathi, Borsha, and Kapor, and these are being preserved, of course, in the museums across Assam. Let's look at how the Jathi looks. So in this particular slide, you are going to see 2 Jathis, one which is preserved in District Museum in Mongoloi, and the other one is preserved at District Museum in Jorhat. These are the 2 specimens of Jathi. It was particularly used as a thrusting weapon. So you take this very Jathi and then you thrust onto your opponent, right? So this is how the Jathi was being used. Of course, here you can only see the blade and the hilt part. But back in those times, a long wooden or bamboo shaft was also inserted to it. The second type of spear that the second and the third type of spear that has been found in museums, one is your Borsha. So these 2 specimens of Borsha can be seen at Srimanta Shankardev Kalakshetra in Guwahati, and the other one is your Kapor. Kapor is it can be translated as a multi-barbed spear. Right? So you can see that there are 6 barbs elongating from the spine of the blade. So this particular specimen is from Srimanta Shankardev Kalakshetra in Guwahati. Now, let's talk about the defensive weapons. We have so far talked about a range weapon, Ahom range weapon. We have also talked about the Ahom melee weapon. Now let us talk about Ahom defensive weapon. Of course, offense is not the only thing that a soldier knows. He has also to protect himself, right? Himself or herself. So there has to be defensive weapon too. So what were the Ahom defensive weapons? The Ahoms were using various types of defensive weapon, such as small shields or dhal. Then there were big shields, which were known as baru, and then there was jathi or gothi. So this was a thick skin leather jacket that was being worn by the soldiers, and it somehow protected them from enemy at all. Here are 2 particular specimens of dhal that have been preserved at Assam State Museum in Guwahati. One is shaped in a circular, one is circular in shape, and the other one is rectangular, kind of rectangular in shape. And the material that has been used to make this very dhal is your rhino skin. Rhino skin has been used. Okay, so we have so far talked about our weapons, right? We have talked about range weapons, we have talked about melee weapon, and we have also seen defensive weapons. But now the question that should be arising in our mind is how did the Ahoms manufacture those very weapons? Of course, they have to utilize iron. Without iron, there cannot be any cannon. Without iron, there cannot be any sword as well. Nothing is possible without it. So let us very briefly talk about the iron ore sources. So the Ahoms acquired iron in 3 particular ways. There was, number 1, indigenous mining and smelting. This was their first way of acquisition of iron ore. Then there was also trade. The Ahoms were not only just mining and smelting, from their own kingdom. They were also acquiring pig iron from through trade. And the third way of iron acquisition was through tribute. These were three particular ways through which they were acquiring iron. Let me repeat it again. The indigenous mining and smelting, then there was through trade, and the third one is through tribute. Let us explore each of those. First is your indigenous mining and smelting. The map that you can see is been recreated by, I've recreated this very map, taking of course the source of Hannay. So Hannay in 1856 have given a detailed account of the iron mining and smelting process by the Ahoms. And based on it, I have made this particular map. So if you can see in the map, there is the faded section. And in that very faded section, iron ore was deposited, right? So from Jaipur is in present day, I suppose it is in Dibrugarh or Tinshukia area. So from Jaipur in the east to the Doyang River Valley in the west, this particular area was rich with iron ore deposits, and the Ahoms were particularly mining and smelting iron from this area as well. So if you go to the literatures, we see that there are three particular regions for indigenous mining and smelting of iron ore. So there was the region of Tirugao Hill and Hatigod. Tirugao Hill is in present in Nagaland. However, back in the time of the Ahom monarchs, this Tirugao was under the Ahoms. It is at the vicinity of Sauradeep. So this region used to be under the Ahoms. Then there was the region of Bosa and Doyang. Doyang River Valley is very rich in iron ore as well. And if you go to the work of Pemberton, 1835, then we see that he mentions that iron ore was obtained from that area as well. And the third area has been mentioned by Hannay. And Hannay says that the bank of the Sufrai River was also rich in iron ore deposits. And as such, the Ahoms were acquiring iron from those areas as well. So three particular areas were there. And in these three particular areas, the Ahoms were mining and smelting iron ore. For that, the Ahoms made a kale. Kale can be translated in English as guild. So the Ahoms formed a kale, and it was known as Lohosalia or Tirual. So Lohosalia guild was there, and that particular guild was entrusted with the task of mining as well as smelting. Okay. Apart from indigenous mining and smelting, as I mentioned, there were two other sources of acquiring pig iron. One was trade, and the other one was tribute. Okay, so who were the trading partners of the Ahoms? So the Ahoms were trading. Ahoms were trading pig iron with various ethnic groups. For example, the Mikirs used to supply. Mikirs who were dwelling in the Mikir hills used to supply pig iron to the Ahoms. Then there was the Khasis and the Garos who were inhabiting Khasi hills. They also supplied pig iron to the Ahoms. They used to sell it, the pig iron, and in return of that, the Ahoms used to give them silk cloths and other articles. Silk clothes, rice, oil, etc. They were supplying it. So barter was the mode of exchange back in those times. And through it, the Khasis used to give the Ahoms pig iron, and the Ahoms used to supply them rice, oil, other articles as well. Then the third was from the Kunung. Kunung of the Borkhamti region. Borkhamti region is in present-day Myanmar. So the Kunung ethnic group also used to give pig iron to the Ahoms. They were trading with the Ahoms. Okay. So apart from the trade, there was also tribute. And tribute particularly from the Dimasa kingdom. The Dimasas used to pay tribute, right? And the tributary article used to include pig iron. Can you follow me until now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is my voice audible?
Yes, sir. Very clear.
Okay, fine. So far we have discussed about the weapons, and we have also talked about the sources of iron ore, right? Because without knowing the sources, we cannot understand how the weapons were being made, right? So let me conclude now. So in conclusion, let me say that the study of weapons have helped to bridge the lacuna in our home history. I mean, if we go through the works that have been done so far, that is the works such as Barpujari's work, 1994, if we go through it. Then if you go through Gogoi's work, 2006, Paisha's work, 2009, and recently Khagen Gogoi's work, 2017, then we find that numerous weapons have been used by the Ahoms. However, apart from the name, we have no other idea, right? Because material evidence was there before us, but the material evidence has not been studied so far. So there was a lacuna in Ahom history. That lacuna has to be filled, and the research that I have done was to cap that very bridge itself. Now we have a proper documentation of the weapons that were being used by the Ahoms. Of course, there are many limitations, right? Research work will have certain limitations, and those very limitations has to be solved, has to be taken up by the future researchers as well. So my second attempt or second conclusion is, of course, to invoke certain form of interest among the younger scholars to take up the work on the study of weapon system. And the third conclusion that I may draw is the research has been able to document the Ahom weapon, right? Documentation of the material evidences has to be done, and the research has been successful in this very particular attempt. Here are certain bibliographies that one may use, and I have used in during this very presentation. So some bibliographies is there. These are the two bibliographies. So thank you for this very opportunity, for letting me present this very lecture. Unfortunately, I apologize once again because I don't know why, but my camera is not working. I tried, but it's just not functioning. But I guess you can understand me through the slide, through the PPT itself.
Yes, sir. Very clearly.
Before I take my leave, I would also like to say something.
Okay.
Please, those who will listen to this very lecture from out of Assam or those who are in Assam, I urge you to visit Sibsagar. I urge everyone else to visit Sibsagar. Please visit Sibsagar. Sibsagar is a very beautiful place. I have been there at Sibsagar numerous times. It feels like Sibsagar is my second home. Although I live at a very remote place, even if you search my home place in the Google map, you are not going to find anything there. But Sibsagar feels like a second home to me. This is a picture that I'm sharing with you. The picture, of course, it's been taken by me. So it is Shiv Dole and Vishnu Dole there. So the night view of Sibsagar, I mean, the entire Ahom heritage, one must explore. Assam it's like rich, it's a gold mine for heritage sites. And Sibsagar is one of the heritage sites. I would suggest that one visits Sibsagar, and not just Sibsagar, explore other areas as well. At Sibsagar, you may see, of course, ruins of the Ahom, not just ruins, but also those which are being actively in use as well. Shiv Dole, Devi Dole, and Vishnu Dole are being actively used presently. Of course, Rangghar is there, and Rangghar is not being used nowadays. There's, of course, other sites such as Tolatal Ghar. You can visit there as well. And make some time to visit Sauradeep as well. So visit Sauradeep, you will get to see many new things, right? So Ahom heritage, you must explore. And not just Ahom heritage. Assam is, like I said, Assam is a gold mine, it's a repository of heritage sites. So explore those very sites, right? And attempt not to destroy those very sites. When I go to certain sites, I see that certain rubbish things have been written in many monuments. I urge people not to do that, right? And even if you see someone doing it, please stop it. If we are the custodians, right? We are the custodians of this very heritage. Our ancestors have left us a deep heritage for us, right? And if we do not respect those very heritage, then who will?
Yes,
So weapon is just a part of it, right? Weapon is just a part of it, but there are also monuments. There are many cultural heritage sites. So visit those very heritage sites, visit Tezpur, visit Sibsagar, visit every other place. So come here, live with us, and surely we will be able to do as many good things to you as well. Right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for this video.
Sir, can I ask one question? If
Yeah,
you
yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah. So during your sharing PPT, I saw that every weapons have different names, like
Hmm.
and different structure also. So I want to know that through which process these names was given by the monarch or the whoever give these names to weapons.
Hmm. So based upon the design,
Yes, sir.
right? Based upon the design, if you see the cannon which I presented at first, the cannons from the
Yes,
Tolakal Ghar in Sibsagar.
yes, yes, yes.
Shall I share the slide with you again?
Yes, sir.
Hmm. If you can look in this particular cannon, then the first cannon, it has a serpent's hood, right, at the muzzle of it. सांप का फन जिसको कहते हैं हिंदी में, a serpent's hood like shape is there at the muzzle of the cannon, and from this we have uh, we have named it as Nag Borto. Nag meaning snake,
Oh, acha.
right? And then there is Hati Muria. Why do we call it Hati Muria? Of course,
It's Lars.
yes, it is large. The muzzle of the cannon, the mouth or the muzzle
Mm,
of the cannon, it's as large as elephant's head, and
yes,
hence
yes.
Hati Muria, right?
But
And
I
then,
saw.
mm,
Okay, sorry. Sir, I saw one weapon name is Barsa. Like
mm,
what it means. Barsa is mean very soft word, but it give names to the weapon. So
okay. So if you look at Varsha, then Varsha means leaf-shaped cannon. If you go to the work of Vaishya 2009, then he translated that the Huns were using Varsha. And he
oh,
says that the Varsha was known as leaf-shaped cannon. Sorry, leaf-shaped spear, not cannon. Sorry.
acha, acha. Okay. And,
So,
and sir, I am also a student of women studies.
mm,
So, sir, I wanted to know that most of the times weapons refer to the man community.
mm,
Does it same for the Ahom community? But regarding to the literature source of history shows that Fuleshwari Fuleshwari was also the queen of Ahom, and
mm,
Mulagavaru, but
mm,
we very know them for their prestigious role in Ahom, also
mm,
Joymoti. But does women have also different weapons in Ahom kingdom?
mm. Well, it's like you said, during conflict, during any armed conflict, it was not just that the men were actively participating in warfare. There is evidence in the Buranjis. For example, during Turbak's invasion, Turbak Khan's invasion uh, in the Ahom kingdom, I, during the time of monarch Suhumu, during the reign of Suhumu in early 16th century. So in the early 16th century, when Suhumu was ruling over the Ahom kingdom, Turbak Khan invaded the Ahom kingdom, right? And when Turbak Khan invaded, Mula Gavaru actively participated, right? She participated. Why? Because her husband, right? Her husband died in the battlefield, and as such, she participated in the battle as well. And how did she participate? It was not just she who participated. She came along with other female soldiers as well, and all of them actively fought against Turka. Unfortunately, she lost. I mean, not she lost. She lost her life, but she did everything that she could. I mean, she fought the battle, right? And how did she fought? Of course, she was utilizing weapons, right? She was utilizing weapons. When it comes to weapon, we do not discriminate between man and woman. Weapon is a weapon. Oh, sorry, weapon is a weapon, and through it we inflict bodily harm, right? So she was also actively participating in warfare, and she was fighting with weapons. Weapons that I showed you, of course, such weapons were being utilized by her. right? She was utilizing such weapons. So there are many other instances, not just about Mula Gabaru. There are also many other instances in the Puranjis where women were actively participating. So men and women somehow to active participation in warfare.
Yes.
Of course, when the situation required.
Yes, sir. Yes, thank you, sir, for giving this huge amount of knowledge. Whenever we study, we never find this kind of brief about Ahom weapons. We mostly talk about Saraigat battle and about Lasit Barfukan and their fighting materials or fighting process, but not talk about this kind of way. So thank you so much, sir, for giving this opportunity to know about this kind of thing.
Thank you. Thank
Sir.
you so much. Thank you for having me, and it's a privilege. I would like to thank Roshmi Ba and of course Avantika ma'am. She's the one who, I mean, she's over her shoulder I stand. I would also like to thank my mother who has actively helped me throughout my research. I have many inabilities, and I know those were inabilities. So my mother helped me a lot. She also gives me money to do the research, and I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank my supervisor, Professor Alok Tripathi, currently the Additional Director General of Archaeological Survey of India. Under his guidance, the research has been done. I'd also like to thank my friends. Right? My friends have been an active support in my life who have taught me how to do research, how to do the planning, how to visit museum, which museums to visit, and everything they have taught me. Right? So thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir.